Recording of Nectar and a Sieve by Kamala Markandaya, Part 1, Chapter 13. That year the rains failed. A week went by. 2. We stared at the cruel sky, calm, blue, indifferent to our need. We threw ourselves on the earth and we prayed. I took a pumpkin and a few grains of rice to my goddess, and I wept at her feet. I thought she looked at me with compassion and went away, comforted, but no rain came. Perhaps tomorrow, my husband said. It is not too late. We went out and scanned the heavens, clear and beautiful, deadly beautiful. Not one cloud to mar its serenity. Others did so too, coming out as we did, to gaze at the sky and murmur, perhaps tomorrow. Tomorrows came and went, and there was no rain. Nathan no longer said perhaps. Only a faint spark of hope, obstinately refusing to die, brought him out each dawn to scour the heavens for a sign. Each day the level of the water dropped and the heads of the paddy hung lower. The river had shrunk to a trickle. The well was as dry as a bone. Before long the shoots of the paddy were tipped with brown. Even as we watched, the stain spread like some terrible disease, choking out the green that meant life to us. Harvesting time and nothing to reap. The paddy had taken all our labor and lay now before us in faded, useless heaps. Sivaji had come to collect his master's dues, and his face fell when he saw how much was lost. For he was a good man, and he felt for us. There is nothing this year, Nathan said to him, not even gleanings. For the grain was but little advanced. You have had the land, Sivaji said, for which you have contracted to pay. So much money, so much rice. There are just dues. I must have them. Would you have me return empty-handed? Nathan's shoulders sagged. He looked tired and dispirited. I came and stood beside him. Ira and the boys crouched near us, defensively. There is nothing, Nathan repeated. Do you not see the crops are dead? There has been no rain, and the river is dry. Yet such was the contract, else the land would not have been rented to you. What would you have me do? The last harvest was meager. We have nothing saved. Sivaji looked away. I do not know. It is your concern. I must do as I am bid. What then? The land is to be given to another, if you cannot make payment. Go from the land after all these years? Where would we go? How would we live? It is your concern. I have my orders and must obey them. Nathan stood there, sweating and trembling. Give me time, he said, at last humbly, until the next crop. I will pay you then, somehow. Pay half now, Sivaji said, and I will try and do as you wish. He spoke quickly, as if to give himself no time to repent of his offer, and hurried away even before my husband had assented. No easy job for him, I said. He is answerable even as we are. That is why he and his kind are employed, Nathan said brutally, to protect their overlords from such unpleasant tasks. Now the landlord can wring from us his moneys and care not for the misery he invokes, for it indeed would be difficult for any man to see another starve, and his wife and children as well, or to enjoy the profits, both of which travail. He went into the hut, and I followed. A few mud pots and 2 brass vessels, the tin trunk I had brought with me as a bride, the 2 shirts my eldest sons had left behind, 2 auloks of dal, and a handful of dried chilies left over from the better times. These we put together to sell. Rather these should go, said Nathan, than that the land should be taken from us. We can do without these, but if the land is gone, our livelihood is gone, and we must thenceforth wander like jackals. He stared a while at what we had to sell, and made an effort to say something, and tried again, and at last he said, choking, "The bullocks must go, otherwise we shall not have enough." But when he had added them and reckoned and re-reckoned, there was still not enough. "There are the saris left," I said, "good ones, and hardly worn. These we must sell." I brought out the red sari that had served for both my wedding and my daughter's, the sari and dhoti I had brought when Thambi worked at the tannery, and made a parcel of them and set out. "Ah, Rukmani," said Biswas, with a false welcome, "what brings you here? I have not seen you for a long time, nor had any of your succulent fruit. Would that be what you bear with you?" "No, indeed," I answered shortly, his voice grating on me as always, "for the earth is parched to dust, and all that I grew is dead. The rains failed, as you know." Yes, he said, looking at me with his cunning eyes. "These are hard times for us." "Not for you," I thought. "You strive on others' misfortunes." We need money for the land," I said. "I have brought 2 shirts my sons no longer need, being away. 2 saris I never wear, and my husband's dhoti to sell you. The saris are very finely worked, and worn but a few times." I took them out and laid them before him. He fingered the rich stuff and measured the borders between outstretched thumb and little finger, and lifted up the silver threads to examine them closer, and held up the shirts to the light for sign of wear. "How much do you want for these?" "It is for you to make the offer. Tell me first how much you want, and I will see what I can do." "Enough to pay the land dues." "How much is that?" "It is my business." He was silent for a while, and I said to him, aspirated, "Tell me if you are not prepared to buy, and I will go elsewhere." "Always in haste," he rebuked me into that gentle, oily voice of his. Yet I think this time you will have to await my pleasure, Rukmani." "What do you mean?" I said, ruffled. "There are many who would be pleased to buy such good material." "I think not," he said. "I think not, for, you see, the wives of other men have come to see me, even as you have, and have gone away as you threaten. Yet they have to come back to me because nobody else can afford to buy in these hard times." "As no doubt you can," I said with contempt. But then an inspiration came to me, and I went on, "Unless you pay a fair price, I shall take these saris elsewhere. There is the Muslim wife of a tannery official whom I know, and she will buy from me as she has done before." "Indeed," he said, a little disconcerted. "Well, Rukmani, since we have done business for a long time, and because you are a woman of spirit whom I have long admired, I will give you 30 rupees. Nobody could be fairer." "Fairer bear fair," I retorted. "I will not take 1 pie under 75 rupees. Take it or not, as you please." I put the clothes away, making a pretense of going to the door. I hoped he would call me back, for in truth I did not know where else to turn. But if not, well, 30 rupees was too far from our needs to be of use, and if I did not get what I asked, I might as well keep the saris. As I got to the door, he called me back. "Very well, Rukmani, I will pay you what you ask, since it will help you." I waited. He disappeared into another room and came back in a few minutes with a sour face and a small leather pouch full of money. He pulled the drawstrings and took from it notes and silver, counting them twice over to make sure. "A very rare price," he said, handing me the money. "Remember, Always the good turn I have done you." I tucked the money away, making no reply, and went back with a lighter step than I had come out. Nathan returned too, having sold the pots and pans, the food, and the bullocks. We pooled the money and counted it. There was in all 125 rupees, not even the half we had to pay. "There is still the seed," Nathan said. "We must sell that." "Of what, the next crop?" I said. "If we sell the seed, we may as well give up the land, too. For how shall we raise a new crop? It is better to be without the seed than benefit of the land in which to plant it. Seed is cheap. It can be bought. I can earn a few rupees, or perhaps my sons." "How?" I cried to myself. "How? Is not my son every day at the tannery, and no one will look at him because of his brothers? And you, my husband, what chance have you when so many young men are festering in idleness?" "It will mean only a few rupees," I said. "Let us not sacrifice the future to our immediate need." "What is the alternative?" he shouted. "Do you think I am blind and do not see, or so stupid as to believe that crops are raised without seed? Do you take me for a fool that—" He was not shouting at me, but at the terrible choice forced upon us. This I knew, yet I could not prevent my throat contracting or force the tears back into their wells. "Let us only try," I said with the sobs coming fast. "Let us keep our hope for our next harvest." Very well, Nathan exclaimed. "Let us try by all means. We may be kicked for our pains, but what of that? Anything will stop your wailing. Now go, do not cross me further." He is worried, I thought, smothering my sobs. He is distracted and does not mean to be harsh. Excuse me. I went inside and lay down with the money tied to my body, and at last dozed off into a troubled sleep. In the morning Savaji came, and my husband took the money and counted it in front of him. 125 rupees, he said. Not half of what we owe. But the best we can do without selling the seed for the next sowing. It would only raise a few rupees, I pleaded. Let us but keep it, and we will repay you twofold. It is not for me, Savaji answered. You make payment to another. What shall I say to him that I bring so little? You made promise of half. Give us a little grace, Nathan said, dragging the words out. We will make full repayment and over after the next harvesting. So we Excuse me, I just need to. Okay. Sorry. Where were we? There we are. So we stood and argued and begged, and in the end Savaji agreed to wait. He took the money and turned to go. Then he hesitated and said, a little wistfully, What I do I must, for I must think of my own. I do not wish to be hard. May you prosper. May you prosper too, I whispered, hardly able to speak, for his words had left me defenseless. May the gods give you their blessing. And so he departed. The drought continued until we lost count of the time. Day after day, the pitiless sun blazed down, scorching whatever still struggled to grow, and baking the earth hard until, at last, it split in great irregular fissures, gaped in the land. Plants died and the grasses rotted. Cattle and sheep crept to the river that was no more, and perished there for lack of water. Lizards and squirrels lay prone and gasping in the blistering sunlight. In the town, a water reservoir had been built for the tannery workers and their families. But now others were allowed a limited quantity as well. So thither I journeyed every morning, and when I said how many we were, perhaps half a mud pot would be doled out, sometimes a little more, depending on who was in charge. Then some of the women in their greed began to claim to have more children than they had, and non-existent relatives. And there were jealousies and spite and bitter argument. Until at last it was declared that each person must come in his own right only, not for others. And children and old men, and this put an end to the cheating and quarreling. But it was hard for many who did not have their full strength. Okay, we continue. Then, after the heat had endured for days and days, and our hopes had shriveled with the paddy, too late to do any good, then we saw the storm clouds gathering, and before long the rain came lashing down, making up in fury for the long drought and giving the grateful land as much as it could, suck in more. But in us there was nothing left, no joy, no call for joy. It had come too late.